Cardiff remain your leaders over in League One, despite not playing a game this past match week. But of course, breathing down the neck is Doncaster Rovers. Can they take over the lead this coming match day? We're going to get into that and much more next. That's right, folks, but once again in another video today. It is match day number 8 over in League One. And of course, we'll get to that in a second. If you know where you're in, smash your subscribe, your subscribe for Buffalo Bills, League One, whoa, football. We're going to all hear under one roof. See, that's right, Cardiff, top of the pops, game in hand. They look set to make a good old challenge to return to the Championship at the first time of asking. But it is Doncaster, it is Huddersfield who are close to taking over that lead themselves. Can they take them over this weekend? We've got some spicy games coming at you in just 1 second. Of course, big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. Smash your subscribe, smash the like, of course, and get in amongst the comments down below. We're looking forward to the next games, of course, and we'll get to them in a minute. But these are, of course, my predictions from last time. Of course, my picks on the left, the real deals on the right. There was a whole host of games postponed because of the international break, but these are the games that did take place. Not Blackpool, Luton. That was, of course, not happening. Bolton did beat AFC Wimbledon 3-0 on with a 2-1 win. Cardiff, of course, like I said, got a game in hand now. Doncaster Rovers a 3-1 win over the Peckerheads. That's right. Bradford City took it a big old L. And it's been a long time coming because they've been on a good bit of form themselves. I did go with a draw. Huddersfield did beat Peterborough 3-2 and with a 3-1 win. Lincoln drew with Wigan 2-2 and with a 2-1 win. Plymouth 4-2 win over Stockport. They turned it around at long last. I went with a 2-0 win myself. Port Vale 2-3 lost to Leyton. Orient. I went with a draw. Reading Northampton Town will do that again another time. Rotherham 1. Exeter 0. I did go the other way. Stevenage and Barnsley also postponed. And Wycombe did beat Mansfield 2-0. I went with a 2-1 win. And those results put it into the old shaker. And this is what the table looks like right now. It is Cardiff. Like I said, game in hand. Doncaster Rovers sitting in second place right now. Level on points with them. Huddersfield in third with 15. Then it's Stevenage, then it's Bradford, then it's Barnsley, of course. 3 of those top 6 have games in hand. Going down is Peterborough, Port Vale, Blackpool, and Burton. Burton do have 2 games in hand to hopefully change it up for Team GB. We do have a prediction league. I'm not gonna. I know I said I'd give you an update, but I'm here. I'm not even at my home right now. Can't do it. I was hoping to do it, but I'm running out of time here. So these are the next round of games, and we're going to jump into them. And of course, everyone's back in full action. So we're going to jump in the deep end, of course, by taking a trip to a Valley Parade, that's right, as they take on hot-to-trot, high-flying Huddersfield South. So sit tight and let's get into this one then, shall we, as they lock horns on the 13th of September. Early kickoff. Graham Alexander's boys are 5th right now, 14 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 6. So because Huddersfield are the league ground, they are 3rd, 15 points to them, just 1 defeat in the last 6 as well. Now, they've played 16 times since 1996, 4 wins for the Bantams, 8 wins for the Terriers, and there's been 4 draws. They last played competitively in the league at this venue. It was a 1-0 win for Huddersfield way back in October 2006, a long time ago. Meanwhile, Bradford are on the back of that 3-1 loss on the road to Doncaster Rovers. Huddersfield on the back of that 3-2 win at home to Peterborough. It's a tight one, very tight. They do just about give it to Bradford City on this one. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw because I'm not too sure about this one. Will they bounce back, Bradford, or will Huddersfield hold their own? We'll see. Next up, we go Northampton Town as they take on Blackpool. Under pressure, Steve Bruce right now. They are locking horns for what will be the 13th time since 2003. 3 wins Northampton, 7 wins for Blackpool. There's been 2 draws. Northampton are on the back of back-to-back wins now. They sit 16th with 7 points to their name. Up against Blackpool, Stevie Bruce, they are 22nd with 4 points to their name, of course. They last played over at the Six Fields. It was a 2-0 win for Blackpool way back in March 2025. Blackpool unbeaten against Northampton Town over the last 3, and they've got 3 clean sheets on the spin as well. Northampton Town on the back of that 1-0 win over the Orient. Good result for them. Meanwhile, Blackpool on the back of that 1-1 scoreline against Bolton. Of course, international break for them. So maybe a chance for them to get themselves up to speed a little bit. The bookies' odds for this one, they'll give it to Blackpool on this. I've gone with the 1-0 win as well. It is pretty much last chance saloon. I've seen other names being linked with the job, even though we still win a job. Meanwhile, we're going to go to Wimbledon as they take on Rotherham United. This is over at the Cherry Records Lane. Wimbledon, Johnny Jackson. They are 15th right now, 9 points for their name. 4 defeats on the spin, though. Up against Rotherham and Matthew Hamshaw. They are on the back of a win. They sit 17th with 7 points to the name and have played Wimbledon 10 times since 2011. 1 win for the Dons, 8 wins for the Millers. There's been 1 draw between these 2 sides. They last played at Plough Lane, or it was a 1-0 win for Rotherham back in February 2022. Rotherham are unbeaten against Wimbledon over the last 5, picking up 4 wins and that 1 draw. The Dons are on the back of that 3-0 loss to Bolton. Rotherham on the back of that 1-0 win over Exeter. The odds for this one, they'll give it to Wimbledon. Tight one there. I think I'm also going with Wimbledon 2-0 winners in their own backyard. We'll go to Barnsley Barnsley now as they take on Reading over at Oakwell. Barnsley under Conor Hoonane, just one defeat in the last 6. They do 6-6 right now with 13 points to the name. Up against Reading under Noel Hunt, just one defeat in the last 5. They sit 20th with 5 points. They played each other 31 times since 1994. 8 wins Barnsley, 13 wins Reading. There's been 10 draws between these two sides. They last played at Oakwell. 2-2 it was back in November 2024. In fact, back-to-back draws over at Oakwell between these two sides. Reading, however, have not beaten Barnsley in the last 5. When they played at the Majewski, Barnsley won. When they played at Oakwell, it's been a draw. Coming into this, Barnsley are on the back of a 3-1 win over Huddersfield. That's back end of August. Reading on the back of that 3-2 loss to Swindon Town in the Football League Trophy. Southern, of course. The odds for this one, Barnsley are hot to trot. They should get this one 2-0 winners in the end. We'll see if I'm right or wrong next time. We're going to go to Burton Albion now, the Pirelli, as they take on Lincoln City. That's right. Gary Bowyer's boys are 21st. 4 points for them. Just one win in the last 5. Sorry, one win in the last 4 for Burton. Against Liga de Macascabula, they're unbeaten in the last 6. They do sit in 8th. 12 points to the name. They're on 17 times they have played since 2009. 8 wins apiece and 1 draw. They last played at the Pirelli. It was a 1-0 win for Lincoln. That was this season in the EFL Cup back in August 26th. The last time they played each other at the Pirelli in the league, it was a 3-2 win for Lincoln back in August 2024. The last 6 matches have all ended up being the away victory here, and it looks like it could be the same on this one. The last time the home side won was when Burton beat Lincoln 3-0 at the Pirelli back in December 2022 on Boxing Day. Burton on the back of that 2-0 win over Liverpool's reserves in the Football League Trophy. That was, of course, on the 2nd of September. Lincoln on the back of that 2-2 scoreline against Wigan this past weekend. The bookies, I don't even know here. Don't even know. Let's have a quick Scooby-Doo-Pookity. Very tight. Go with Lincoln, they do, but not me. I'm going to back Bowyer to get the result. Exeter City, they're taking on a Port Vale at St James's Park all the way down the south coast. Exeter under Gary Caldwell, they are 13th right now, 9 points to the name. They've won 2, lost 2 over the last 4. Up against Port Vale, Darren Moore, they've won 2, lost 2 also in the last 4. They played each other 20 times since 2008. 10 wins Exeter, 8 wins Port Vale. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. They last played at St James's Park. It was a 1-0 win for Port Vale back in December 2023 in League One. Port Vale are on the back of that 2-3 loss to Leyton Orient. Exeter also losing away to Rotherham. The bookies will give it to Port Vale on the road here. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win Exeter, though. It's going to be a long old trip, wherever you are, down to that south coast. Let's go to the Orient as they take on Bolton over at Brisbane Road. Richie Wellens, of course, 58% form for them right now, and Richie Wellens, Leyton Orient, 12th in the table, 10 points for them. Up against Bolton under Stephen Schumacher, unbeaten in the last 6. Back-to-back wins, they sit 10th with 10 points as well. They played each other 6 times since 2020. 2 wins Orient, 4 wins Bolton, so there's been no draws. They last played over at Brisbane Road. It was a 2-1 win for Bolton, who did the double over Leyton Orient last season. Back-to-back 2-1 wins for them. Bolton are on the back of a 3-0 win over Wimbledon. Leyton Orient on the back of that 3-2 away win to Port Vale. The last home match was a 1-0 loss to Northampton Town, which was a bit of a surprise on this one. They do go with Bolton to the bookies. I'm going with the hosts 2-1 win here to see if I'm right or wrong. Let's go to Luton Town against Plymouth. Of course, the relegated sides locking horns over at Kenilworth Road. Mount Bloomfield's boys have won 3 of the last 4. They sit 7th with 12 points to the name. Over against Plymouth under Top Cavalier, they're on back-to-back wins now. They're up to 18th, 6 points to the name. They played 19 times since 2003. 7 wins for the Hatters and 6 wins for the Pilgrims. 6 draws, of course, between the two sides. They last played at this venue. 1-1 it was way back in February 2025. Plymouth are unbeaten against Luton over the last 3. They've won 1 and they've drawn 2. Coming into this, Plymouth are on the back of that 4-2 win over Stockport. Luton Town on that 4-1 win over Barnet in the Football League Trophy South. The bookies will go with Luton. I'm going to go with a draw here, 2-2 right down the middle. And of course, it could be a turning of the corner for the Green Army. Let's go Mansfield Town as they take on Stevenage. That's right, coming at you on the 13th of September. Nigel Clough's boys are 11th and winless in the last 3. Up against Stevenage and Alex Revel, just 1 defeat in the last 5. Of course, they are 4th with 15 points compared to Mansfield, who are 11th with just a 10. They played 24 times since 2008. 12 wins for Mansfield, 7 wins in Stevenage. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. They last played at Mansfield, 1-0 winners it was for Stevenage back in October 2024. Coming into this, Mansfield are on the back of that 2-0 loss to Wycombe. That was this past weekend. Stevenage with that 5-1 win over Wimbledon in the Football League Trophy back on the 2nd of September. The bookies will go with Stevenage. No, they'll go with Mansfield on this one. I've gone with Mansfield victory as well. 1-0 winners. Stevenage are flying, but they'll probably take a big L on this one. Peterborough needs something and fast. They're taking on Wycombe Wanderers, of course, this weekend. And of course, both sides not doing the best. Peterborough are rock bottom with just the 1 point to the name. And it could be Darren Ferguson's last week in charge if things go completely wrong here. Up against Wycombe under Mike Dodds, who's lost twice in the last 5. They sit 19th right now with 5 points to the name. They have played Peterborough 22 times since 2003. They've won 9 of them. Peterborough have won 6 of them. There's been 7 draws. They last played at Peterborough. It was a 1-1 scoreline back in March 2025. In fact, 2 of the last 3 between these two sides have ended up all square at Peterborough. Peterborough on the back of that 3-2 loss to Huddersfield. Wycombe on the back of that 2-0 win at home to Mansfield. The bookies will give it to Wycombe. I think I'm going with a draw on this. I don't know if that's good enough to keep Fergie in charge. Stockport County, they're taking on Cardiff. What a game that is. However, Stockport have a bit of a rough patch right now. They're all the way down to 9th with 11 points for their name. Just 1 win, lost 1, draw 1 over the last 3. Cardiff, 6 wins in the match. They're top of the pops. 16 points for them so far out of a possible, is it 16? Can't be right. Meanwhile, Stockport and Cardiff have played twice since 2003. 1 win for Stockport, nothing for Cardiff. There has been 1 draw. That one and only match competitively was back on March the 1st. It was a 1-1 scoreline way back in League One, of course. Stockport on the back of that 4-2 loss to Plymouth. Cardiff on the back of that 4-0 win over Plymouth themselves. It's actually been back-to-back clean sheets. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find. They haven't conceded a goal in the last 5. Cardiff look hot to trot right now, but they did lose a key player or 2 in the transfer windows. Correct me if I'm wrong. The bookies will go with Cardiff just. It is tight on this one. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win as well for Cardiff for me on that one. Then finally, we're going to go to the DW, that's right, as Wigan, they take on Doncaster, high-flying Doncaster right now. Of course, Ryan Lowe's boys are 14th right now, just 1 win the last 6 against Doncaster, who won 5 on the bounce. Sits second with 16 points. They played 12 times since 2002, 6 wins Wigan, 4 wins Doncaster. There's been 2 draws. They last played at the DW. It was a 2-1 win for Wigan back in September 2021. Wigan are on the back of that 2-2 scoreline on the road to Lincoln. They haven't won since they beat Stockport in the Cup. The last home win in the, or last win in the league was match number 3 against Peterborough. Meanwhile, Doncaster, 3 wins on the bounce, actually 5 wins on the bounce. Back-to-back games. I don't even know what I'm talking about here. They're just winning all the games right now, and the bookies are probably going to go with Doncaster here. It's tight, fine margins, could be a draw, and in fact, I've gone with one of those as well. 1-1 in the end. That's my take on it, guys. Make sure you get your picks in as well, and if you do, this is what the table will look like for me if they're right. It'll be Cardiff, it'll be Doncaster, Huddersfield still up there knocking on the door, and then of course going down Peterborough, Port Vale, Reading, and Wycombe. But of course, it can all change very, very soon. Match predictions are still there. Get involved. We'll showcase them very, very soon. But until then, subscribe, smash the like. I'll catch you later. But until then, I'm out of here.